Today we're starting our lessons on statistics, and our first lesson statistics today is going to be on what we call central tendency. Now, central tendency is just a fancy name of what we call the mean, the median, and the mode, which you've already learned before in earlier grades, but today we're going to continue to learn about and just add layers to what we know about these three things. Now, when we start statistics, we are going to look at data that we're going to first look at data that is univariate. And what I mean by that, we're going to be looking at data where the data is only made up of one variable, meaning you're only observing one thing or measuring one thing. So maybe you're looking at the height of the people in a room, or you're looking at the test scores of a group of students, and so on and so forth. So that data is univariate because you're only observing one thing, or you're only measuring one thing. And as I'm talking in this lesson right now, I'm just going to go through the vocabulary that we have here on our mini lesson. So when we talk about data, and when we talk about the statistics of a set of data, we can talk about the minimum value on that set of data, which is just the lowest value of that set of data. So if I have a set of numbers, or maybe a set of test scores, the minimum would be the smallest test score that I have. You're going to see some things in parentheses here next to these words. And if there's something in parentheses here, that means that is what you're looking for when I show you how to get these values on the calculator, which I'll show you later. Whatever is in parentheses is what you would be looking for in the calculator screen. So after I show you how to calculate everything in the calculator, how to get everything in the calculator, MIN or min would be what you would look for if you're looking for the minimum. Or MAX or max would be what you're looking for if you're looking for the max. And the max is just simply the highest value in your set of data. So again, if I'm looking at a set of test scores, then the highest grade would be the maximum value of that set of data. The range is the difference between the max and the min, meaning you take your smallest value and subtract it from the biggest value. So it's the biggest minus the smallest. That's your range. The mean is the average. So that's when you take all of the set of data all the set of points that you have. So maybe you take let's say I'm looking at 805 test scores, and I take all of 805 test scores, all the scores that the students got. I add them all together, and then I divide by the number of students they have that took the test, then that would be my average. Okay, and in the calculator, again, when I show you how to get these measurements, the mean is described using X bar. Okay, that's what we call X bar, and it's just an X with a bar on top. Okay, and again, that's my average. What was the average score? For example, what's the average height or the average shoe size? And again, you find that by adding everything up and dividing by the number of items that you added up. The median is the middle value of a set of data. So if I take a set of data, let's say I have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and I put them in order, then the value that's right in the middle, that median, that number is your median. Okay, and again, when you look in the calculator, after I show you how to do this, the median is identified by MED or MED. Okay, and when you find the median, if you ever have to do this by hand, your values always have to be in order. Okay, they always have to be in order, and then you can find the number in the middle. The mode is just simply the number that appears the most. So if I have a set of numbers, I'm looking to see which is the number that appears the most in that set of data. Sometimes there might not be a mode, which means that every number just appears the same amount of time in the set of data. Or there might be more than one mode, meaning that there's a number that appears the same amount as another number. So for example, let's say that I have the list 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Then this is bimodal because the mode here would be 2 and it'll also be 5. Okay, they both appear twice in your set of data. Now, I'm going to show you how to find the mean, the median, and the mode using your calculator. And in order for you to do this, you need to have this app on your phone. Otherwise, you will have to do this by hand. So if you have the app on the phone, it'll be much easier. Okay, so on the app on the phone, here's what you're going to do. I have my set of data. So here in model example, I have this set of numbers, and it says for the given set of data, find the mean, the median, and the mode. So I have these sets of numbers that I'm going to use to figure out what my mean is, meaning my average. Okay, what my median is, what's the value in the middle once I arrange it from least to greatest, and what my mode is, meaning what is the number that appears the most. Now the only one of these three that you will not see in the calculator and you have to look for your own is the mode. Okay, and simply you're going to look at the set of numbers that you have here and you're going to look to see what is the number that appears the most. If I look at 1, it only appears one time. 3 only appears one time. 5 only appears one time. So does 7. So does 9. 13, 21 only appears once. But as you can see, 25 appears 2 times. So my mode here is 25. Okay, so you just write 25 for your mode. Now my median, I can do it by hand and I can say, okay, these numbers are all arranged in order. They're from the smallest to the biggest. And I'm going to figure out what's the number that is right in the middle. So I'm going to just take away numbers from the end till I get to the middle. And I see that when I get to the middle, I have these two numbers, 9 and 13. Since this is an even set of numbers, then I have to do 9 plus 13 divided by 2, which gives me 11. So my median here is 11. Now for my average or for my mean, I would have to take all of these set of data points, add them up. So I would do 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 13 plus 21 plus 25 plus 25 plus 31 and divided by 10 because that is how many numbers I have, and I get 14 as my average. Now that's a lot of work to do by hand sometimes because you might have a set of data points that might have maybe 100 set of points. So maybe, for example, if I look at all the test scores for the whole entire 8th grade, that's 125 kids, about 125 kids. So it'll take me a long time to figure out what the average of that is by adding all of that up, or it'll take me a long time to figure out what's right in the middle if I have to rearrange everything in order. So that's where the calculator comes in handy, and I'm going to show you how to do this in the calculator now. So I'm going to take all my sets of points, this set of points, and I'm going to input it in the calculator the following way. So on my calculator, I'm going to go to stat, because again, we're in the statistics unit. So I'm going to go to stat for statistics. I'm going to go to edit. As you can see, is the only option that I can click here. And if there's not a blue rectangle under L1, you want to just click on the rectangle under L1 and make sure that it's highlighted blue. Always in L1, not L2, not L3, not L4, always L1. So in L1, I'm going to start inputting my numbers. So I'm going to put 1, enter, 3, enter, and I'm getting this from your mini lesson. These are the set of points that they give you in this mini lesson. 5, enter. Then I have 7, click enter, 9, enter, 13, 21, 25, 25 again. You input it as many times as you see that number, and then 31. So I inputted all my sets of data. So now that I've inputted the data, that I put in the numbers that I have in the example, I go back to stat I've already edited the table, so now I'm going to calculate. So I'm going to select calculate with my finger. And I'm going to go to one variable stats. Okay, again, we're looking at things that only have one variable. We're only measuring one thing. And I'm going to select one variable statistics. As you can see, I can't select anything else. So I'm going to select one variable statistics. Once I have that, I'm going to press enter. You're going to get this error message, and I still haven't figured out why it keeps popping up, but it doesn't matter. Just press OK because the list is still going to show up. So now you can use your finger to scroll up and down, and as you can see, this gives you all the information that you need. The X bar, the X with a bar on top, the very first number that you get, that's your mean, which is the same thing that we got when we calculated it by hand, The X bar is your average, which equals 14, and it's the same thing that we got. You can get your minimum, you can get your maximum, and you can get your median. So if you scroll down and you go to MED, that'll be your median, which is 11, and it's the same thing that we got on our example when we did it by hand. Now once you get the information that you need from this list, and again you want to scroll up and down the list to figure out what you need from here. Right now they only asked us for the mean or the average, which was 14. They asked me for the median, which was 11, and again the mode you calculate on your own. Once you do that and you don't need this list anymore, if you notice, if I press clear, nothing happens. So you want to just press enter again for everything to go back to normal and for you to do it again. Now if I go back to stat, I go back to edit, and I want to edit this table. Maybe I'm doing another example and I don't need these numbers anymore. Just go all the way up to L1 and press clear, and that'll clear your whole table up. So once you've gotten the information on your calculator, then you can go back to the example and write down the 3 things that you needed. So I got my median, which was the X bar, and that was 14. I got the median, which was the med, and that was 11. And I got my mode by looking at my set of data, which was 25. On your task, it's going to ask you to compare different things. So you're going to find the mean, the median, and the mode from your data using your calculator and looking at the data for the mode. And you're going to compare certain things. So if you see something, for example, where something says this, that means that the median is bigger than the mode. If you see something, for example, that looks like this, that means that the mean is bigger than the mode. But if you see something that looks like this, for example, that means that this, the median, is smaller than the mean. Okay, so this over here means bigger, and then this over here means smaller. Whatever's on the left is smaller than whatever's on the right. Now, and obviously if you have an equal sign, then that just means that the 2 things are equal to one another. Another thing, and then, before I go on to the other thing, and then you use the values that you have to figure out if this is true. So for example, if my mean is 5, let's say my mean is 5 and my mode is 3, then that's true. My mean is bigger than my mode. But if it's not, then that can't be your answer. Okay, and then the other thing you might see in your mini lesson, maybe you would have a frequency table like this, where maybe, I don't know, I'm gonna put just random things here. The frequency just tells you how many times you should how many of whatever you have here you actually have on your table. So for example, a frequency of 2 means that 2 people actually got a score of 25. So when I go in my calculator and I go in L1, I'm going to put 25, 25. Okay, and you can remake your table if you want using the frequency so that it's easier to see. A frequency of 3 for the 30 means that 3 people score 30. So I would have 30, 30, 30. And if I only have one frequency for 45, that means I only have one person that scored a 45. And this is what the longer table would look like. So use that information to help you throughout your task.